It's been so long, I can't control myself. That's what Nancy whispered into my ear. Hearing her soft voice, my pulse quickened, and I felt heat spreading throughout my body. I never imagined that something like this would happen at my workplace. My name is Bob Harrison. I'm a 32-year-old bachelor and an employee. Currently, I'm working at a major electronics manufacturer. Because it's a big corporation, people admired me, but unfortunately, I've been recently demoted. Bob, give your best at your new place. You're better off working in the country than slaving away at the headquarters. That's what the director said to me with a smirk on his face. The director himself was the one who sent me off to this subsidiary, often referred to as exile. He's famous for his oppressive attitude towards employees he doesn't like, and recently, I was his main target. He criticized every single thing I did and continually put me down. For example, when I asked him about specific corrections on documents that he'd shredded without properly reading, he just told me to figure it out by myself, and making me cater to his reckless whims was truly exhausting. The director supposedly married the niece of the CEO for his career advancement. Because of this, a certain unquestioning atmosphere permeated the company. However, the director was also well known for his womanizing and had a poor reputation among those who knew him. On top of that, he treats his subordinates really bad. Despite this, I had a strong sense of company loyalty, and I took the hardship positively, thinking that overcoming this adversity would make me grow as a person. No matter what the director did, I was determined not to give in and keep working, but it seemed that my resolve only amused him more. When my demotion was decided, the director seemed extremely pleased. As I've worked at the headquarters, this unreasonable transfer was quite a shock. But I steeled myself to face this challenge. I couldn't let my mother down, who was watching over me from heaven. I will always be watching over you from heaven. I still can't forget the look on my mother's face when she told me this, lying in her hospital bed, pale as a sheet. Trying to cheer her up, and I said, "Don't say such weak things. I want to be with you forever." "No, it's okay. I'm already happy enough that you've grown up to be such a kind child." I tear up even now when I remember my mother's gentle smile. My mother passed away around the time I went off to college. My father was the worst person. When I was still a child, my mother protected me from my father, who had started raising his hand not only to her but also to me. And she raised me on her own. Despite being busy with work and housework, she always had a smile on her face and showered me with love. I could never thank her enough. If I were to complain here, my mother would be sad. "Mom, I definitely won't give up." With determination, I set off for my new post. The place I was transferred to was a peaceful countryside, and the environment was very comfortable. The folks at my new position were all kind-hearted, and I was able to enjoy my work. Of course, just because it was a less prestigious role, I didn't slack off, but instead did my absolute best. I believed that if I kept up the hard work, it wouldn't be a dream to get a promotion again. Indeed, a year after being shifted to this new position, I had made significant accomplishments in my work and began receiving recognition. This fact made me relieved. Just when I breathed a sigh of relief, I received an interesting proposition from a colleague named Todd. "Hey, Bob, how about we go to the party for singles?" "A party? Yeah, you don't seem to have a girlfriend either, so it's a chance to meet someone." As Bob pointed out, I didn't have a girlfriend at the moment. It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but I had no experience with dating in my life. When I was at the head office, I had many opportunities to be invited to social gatherings, but I was always busy with the manager's rigorous workload and chased by stress, so I couldn't find the mood for romance. But now, with some breathing room, It seemed like the perfect timing to seek new connections. I'm almost 33, and I'd like to get married at some point. With that in mind, I decided to participate in the party, but it didn't go as smoothly as I expected. The party was held at a luxury hotel, and many more participants gathered than I anticipated. But I couldn't communicate well with the women and ended up feeling isolated. This wouldn't happen in a business context, but casual chit-chat seemed difficult for me who had been submerged in work. In contrast to me, Todd, with his social and lively character, was making vibrant conversations with many women. Neither Todd nor I were particularly handsome, but despite this, the difference in our situations left me feeling disappointed. I thought the women at the party probably saw me as a boring guy. When I was feeling down, I suddenly heard a voice, "Excuse me, may I talk to you?" When I lifted my gaze, I was astonished. Standing in front of me was a woman of unbelievable beauty. I was so captivated by her, who looked as if she could have stepped right out of a TV show, that I couldn't even look away. Of course, I've been looking for someone to talk to since I came to the party. You were alone too, so I thought I'd come and talk. She said this with a gracious smile. I guess everyone's too intimidated to approach because you're so beautiful. Oh, you're a smooth talker. Not at all. It's just that I've never had a proper conversation with a woman other than my mother, and so, here I am in this situation. Oh, you have a good relationship with your mother. That's wonderful. Yes, she passed away when I was in high school, but she was truly a good mother. Oh, I'm sorry. When I mentioned that my mother had passed away, she looked genuinely sorry. But of course, it wasn't her fault. It was me who brought up my mother all of a sudden. But actually, I lost my mother when I was young too. Really, whether it was a blessing in disguise or not, we started to talk about our mothers. At first, I was frustrated with myself for not being able to converse smoothly, but as time passed, I found myself chatting naturally with her. She was not only beautiful but also had a very friendly personality. Before I knew it, I was not only fascinated by her appearance but also by her dazzling smile and gentle manner. Oh, what a joy it would be to have a girlfriend just like her. Just as I was thinking this, the host of the party gave instructions to the participants through a microphone. All right everyone, we will now be ending the talking time. If you are interested in someone, please write down their badge number on the sheet we distributed at the beginning. I nodded at her and left to join Bob. Her badge had the number 28 on it. There's no way I would match with her, but I wrote down 28 and handed the sheet to the party organizer. I had a great time with such an attractive woman. That was enough for me. With those thoughts, I was looking up at the stage of the party when the hosts started to announce the results. At the end of the party, they would introduce the men and women who had successfully paired up. Now, let's start with male number 2 and female number 6. Congratulations on becoming a couple. Each time the host said this, a man and a woman ascended to the stage and were introduced. Before I knew it, the venue had transformed into a festive mood, filled with a peculiar heat. Todd, too, had successfully paired up and ascended the stage. Todd's partner was a slender, adorable woman, and the spectators were all worked up. When the spectators called for a kiss, Todd, going along with the flow, kissed the back of his partner's hand like a prince, eliciting laughter from the audience. Before I knew it, I was carried away by the atmosphere, watching the proceedings and laughing. However, upon hearing the host's announcement, my mind went blank. Now, next we have male number 19 and female number 28. Please come up to the stage. I looked at my own badge, and indeed number was 19. Hey, Bob, you're being called. Urged by Todd, I finally headed towards the stage. There, the woman from before was already waiting for me. I never dreamed that she and I would be paired. What a beauty she is. The lucky number 19 man must be over the moon. When the host said this, the audience chimed in with comments like, "Hey, handsome." It was one thing to be an observer, but being the center of attention was unbearably embarrassing. It seemed like she felt the same, her face turning a deep red. But then, the audience made a further demand of us. Just like they had with Todd earlier, they called for a kiss. I was petrified and didn't know how to respond, but I couldn't just stand there on stage forever. As I was struggling, the woman next to me gave a quick peck on my cheek. In that moment, my mind went blank again as I was surrounded by cheering. I never imagined I would kiss a woman in such a way. Finally, we were allowed to step down from the stage, and she and I looked at each other. I never imagined that I'd be paired with you in my wildest dreams. Me neither, but let's drop the formalities now that we're a couple. Okay, can I ask your name? I'm Nancy Miller. Nice to meet you. Saying so, Nancy extended her hand like a lily. I touched it, feeling my heart pounding. I'm Bob Harrison. Nice to meet you. After ending the party like that, Nancy and I decided to chat for a bit in the hotel lounge. We still knew little about each other. Wow, what a night. Who knew a matchmaking party would get everyone so fired up? I was surprised too. And while it was only for about an hour, Nancy and I talked more about each other. Nancy was 30, and she was in another country until last year, but she preferred being in Japan. When I told her where I work, Nancy looked surprised. "Oh, you work at that electronics manufacturer?" "Yeah, why? Something wrong?" "No, it's just a big company." I felt a little strange about Nancy's reaction, but we exchanged contact details and parted ways. We agreed to go out for a meal another time. We were both working adults, so coordinating our schedules would be a bit of a hassle, but little did I know, an unexpected development was waiting for me. A week after meeting Nancy, a new manager was assigned to our division and was introduced during the morning meeting. I was nervous about meeting the new boss, but when I saw who it was, I was at a loss for words. The one who was there was me, in a relationship with a woman named Nancy Miller. It's Ms. Nancy Miller, who has been promoted to the position of section chief. Until last year, she was abroad gaining experience, they announced. "I'm Nancy Miller. Nice to meet all of you," she exclaimed. In stark contrast to my shock, Nancy maintained her poker face as she greeted everyone. However, I did not miss her gaze towards me and the silent later message she sent through eye contact. Then, Nancy and I gathered in the break room. "Why are you here?" I asked. "I'm sorry, I really wanted to tell you, but I had to keep it a secret due to confidentiality," she replied with an apologetic expression. As for me, I had no intention of blaming her. I was just taken aback by this surprising coincidence. However, Nancy cast a worried look my way. "Do you mind having your girlfriend as your boss?" she asked. "No, not at all. I like you, Nancy," I stuttered. Upon hearing this, her face lit up with happiness. "Me too. I really like you, Bob. I get so nervous and blush whenever I'm around you," she admitted. Indeed, her face was crimson red. "It's been a long time since I felt this way. My body isn't listening to me," she confessed, whispering in my ear. Her whisper sent my heart racing, and my body grew hot. I could not have imagined that such a turn of events would happen in the office. But honestly, I didn't mind that Nancy was my boss. She was a very talented individual. Upon our reunion at the office, we confirmed our feelings for each other and officially started dating. We didn't make our relationship public, but I was able to work happily with her. I felt like I might have a special connection with Nancy. Such happy days passed, but a new incident occurred 1 month after we started dating. Surprisingly, the director who had transferred me came to see me on the name of a routine inspection. Looking at the director with a meaningful expression, I had a bad feeling. "Long time no see, Bob," he said. "Hello," I responded. "I'm sure you're finding this new place quite comfortable. I came today to make sure you can continue working here," he added. "Pardon," as I widened my eyes in surprise, the director laughingly continued. "Well, there are talks of bringing you back to headquarters, but you prefer it here, don't you? So, I came to ask the director to let you stay." In other words, the director was there to prevent my return to headquarters. I trembled at the director's deviousness. "Director, you..." No, quite the opposite. If anything, you should be grateful. That's something I'll discuss with my father." Suddenly, Nancy appeared. On seeing her, the director's face turned pale. Nancy, why are you here?" "Didn't you know? I'm here to learn. On my father's orders," she responded. What do you mean by Nancy's father?" "Bob, what are you saying? Nancy is the president's daughter. Be respectful." At that moment, everything clicked into place in my mind. The president's last name was Miller, too. And no matter how much the director was a relative of the president, he would never dare to disrespect Nancy, the president's daughter. "There are also other unpleasant rumors about you. I plan to report everything to my father. Just you wait." "No way." With that, the director collapsed on the spot. It seemed that the fact that Nancy was the president's daughter was only known to a few executives. Afterwards, thanks to Nancy reporting everything to the president, the director's reputation took a nosedive and he ultimately left the company. Apparently, his wife also took this opportunity to investigate the director's personal life, confronting him with numerous proofs of infidelity. Having betrayed his wife as well, the director apparently had no choice but to leave the company. The director is now said to be living alone, chased by child support payments for his children. What goes around comes around. I was surprised to find out that Nancy was the president's daughter, but of course, my feelings for her haven't changed. "Do you mind that I'm the president's daughter? Are you sure I'm good enough?" When I asked her that, she gave me a kiss on my cheek. So, a year after we met, we both received recognition for our achievements and were assigned to work at the headquarters, continuing our relationship while working. And another year later, when things had settled down, we got married. I was worried whether the president would accept me, but he readily gave his approval. About this matter, Nancy said this: "I think my father saw a lot of himself in you, Bob." "What do you mean?" "Like you, my father has been working hard to grow the company despite the loss of my beloved mother. You remind him of himself, and I fell in love with that side of you." Nancy, even when times are tough, as long as you don't give up and keep looking forward, heaven never helps the men who will not act. I looked up at the sky and once again said thank you to my mother for bringing such a good match into my life.